program.
Good morning, Leanne. Pleasure to be back with you.
So I believe this is going to be one of the biggest mining indabas we've had as yet. Why is that?
It is, and I think the thing that drives that is the continued opening of Africa to the world and the continued growth of the commodities sector and the national resources sector here on the continent.
Well, are the issues of miners in Africa different to the rest of the world?
I think they are on certain levels and consistent on others. And so there are things that are unique to Africa that transcend the market here that differ in other locations. But at the same token, there are commodities, realities that impact the market regardless of where you're located. And that's true here in Africa as well.
Yeah. What are those unique features for South African miners that we do go through?
Well, in South Africa specifically, there's been obviously a couple of years here that we've had some unrest in the marketplace. We've gone through a number of strikes, first in the gold sector, then the commodities sector, and there's still some issues ongoing with the Mineral Resources and Petroleum Development Act and its machinations as it works its way through being realigned and rediscussed.
We look at mining. It really does drive the GDPs of different countries coming through. How can we make this sector inclusive?
It does. I think one of the things that's nice about, or exciting maybe is a better way to say it, about this particular commodities downturn is that it's not had the knock-on effect to the broader economies of many of the African nations. And the reason for that is you've started to see African economies mature and develop, and we see areas of tourism and services and manufacturing starting to contribute a greater share to the overall economy. And so as the natural resources sector has been down recently, it's not had as dramatic an impact on the economies of those countries overall.
Yeah. You know, when you look at Africa in mining, it's so mineral rich. And globally, it really is seen as a resource base for the rest of the world. But there's so many issues plaguing the continent. I mean, we look at the issue of Ebola, which is in West Africa, political uncertainties in Central and Eastern Africa, labor issues here in South Africa. So perhaps the answers are looking at pretty much finding solutions to some of these problems. I mean, is that the picture that the world sees mining in Africa in?
Yeah, I mean, I think the mineral wealth here is obviously undeniable. The challenges here are abundant, but I think there are bright minds working on them daily, and we continue to see progress every year. Africa represents some of the fastest growing economies in the world and has for some time. If you look at the global index that the World Bank puts out each year of the ease of places to do business, Africa continues to be a shining star in many of those areas. Take as an example Rwanda. 25 years ago, you couldn't consider doing business there, and this year it ranked just above Italy on the World Bank rankings. So there is material change happening here on the African continent.
Yeah. Also, the fluctuating price of the metal. I mean, it's not often that you see gold more expensive than platinum. This must have an effect on a lot of the miners as well.
It absolutely does, and I think what you'll see in the coming year is that there won't be a universal trend of commodity prices. I think what you'll see is certain commodity prices and then the knock-to effect of certain countries and certain companies, depending on how they've done as far as the work that they've done as a country, as a business, will determine how successful they are relative to their peers in the coming year.
Yeah, and I suppose I would imagine this year in the mining sector, we're hoping for a better year than last year. I mean, last year was a very difficult time for South Africa in mining, seeing perhaps one of the longest industrial actions on record. So these things going to be discussed as well, particularly labor issues.
Yeah, I think we'll have a robust discussion on many different fronts. One of the things that's unique about the Indaba is the timing of it. It comes just after the new year, and I think we always get the benefit of a fresh hope and excitement about the industry. I think you've seen, in spite of the fact that commodities prices are down, you've seen some very positive trends within the sector, the work that the companies have done to write their balance sheets and to really focus on operational efficiencies. As I mentioned earlier, the fact that this particular economic downturn in the sector has not had that knock-on effect to the broader economy. And then the other thing that you've seen, Leanne, is a tremendous amount of money that's been raised and is sitting on the sideline waiting to be put to work in this sector. And so there is, I think, a sense of hope and a sense of excitement about this year, and I think that that'll be one of the things that drives this year's Mining Indaba.
Yeah. Just finally, before we talk about sort of who will be attending, mining policy here in South Africa, that is of utmost importance as well. We're seeing that the Minerals and Petroleum Resources Development Act Amendment Bill was passed in Parliament last year, but this was in 2013, I think, but it hasn't been signed into law yet by our president. Do you think that this perhaps holds some solutions?
I think it could. I think that's the question that I think most investors are waiting to find the answer to. Obviously, that piece of legislation significantly impacts investor sentiment and what will happen going forward. So whilst it's I think something that people would like to see done quickly, I think it's probably more important to get it correct than get it through just fast.
All right. Well, we'll be watching on that one. Is it an open event? Can the public attend this event?
Anybody can. You just have to register. It's obviously an event that has a fee associated with it, so you have to pay to enter, but it is an open event to anybody that wants to come and register and be a part of the program.
Excellent. And that website address for the Mining Indaba?
It's www.miningindaba.com.
Excellent. As easy as that. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks so much for talking to us here on the program, talking about issues affecting the mining industry here in South Africa, and also some issues that will be discussed at the Mining Indaba, a massive one this year. It starts on the 9th until the 13th of February. And that was Jonathan Moore, the MD of Mining Indaba.